Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time traveling toy collector, and today in this video we are looking at the next entry into the 13 primes. It is Quintus Prime as part of the Age of the Prime toy line from Transformers by Hasbro and Takara Tomy. And if you've been following my videos on the 13, I have to say every single time I'm never disappointed. I'm never disappointed really with any of the primes that we've had so far. Some have been more outstanding, I think, than others, but they've all been pretty good in their own right. This one, well, this one is something I was very excited to see how they were going to do it. I did see a version of it at Comic-Con in the summer with Evan and Co, who were presenting these, and I thought, wow, that looks good. And now, thanks to In Demand Toys getting some US stock in early, I now have in my hands Quintus Prime, and he is just phenomenal. So let's do the obligatory package first. I have done an unboxing video because I was so excited when I got these. I've already done an unboxing video over on my Patreon. I'll put a link for my Patreon membership in the description, so please do check that out if you want to get some exclusive content. There's an awful lot of it that's free over there. Please do that. Also, whilst I'm just talking about that, it would be great if you could like the video. That would be fantastic if you're enjoying what you're seeing. And similarly, if you don't already, it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel, because that would help me get to my next subscriber milestone. I try to set myself 3 a year just to keep myself going and motivated, and I'm tantalizingly close to my next one. So if you could possibly see your way to doing that, that would be amazing. Anyway, if you can, that's great. If you can't, I'm just glad you're here, and let's get down to the business part of this. So Quintus Prime, look at the artwork here. It's really great, really great. Again, we have some of the mural of the primes here, and there is Quintus represented on the mural. And I think that feeds into my thought that whichever prime we're getting at any given time, we do get their element on the packaging. There is Quintus Prime looking phenomenally quintessentially Quintessy. There he is in his subaquatic space squid vehicle mode. Yep. And there is his fabulous artifact that, spoiler alert, I did have a panic, because usually the artifacts and or other accessories, when they are in the pack, they come wrapped up or they come attached somehow. This time the stone was not visible at all, so I was having a bit of a panic attack, but it's actually secured inside his back cavity, and I'll sort of show you that in a moment. But I just sort of want to get into looking at this guy, because there's a lot to look at here. He is truly phenomenal. First of all, the colour scheme absolutely smacks. It is fantastic. You've got sort of metallic greens, you've got organic greens, you've got this mega light piping here. I mean, I almost wanted to see if I can do some additional, but it just makes him, he looks like he's got spider eyes, you know, it's incredible. And the head does, you know, give you all the maneuverability that you possibly would hope for from the head, as I failed to be able to move it. You can move side to side. So it's on a bit of a ball joint, but because of the casing around the head, it's a bit tricky to get complete movement. I'll show you that look at that. That is pretty high level light piping opportunities there. It really is just, you know, it glows. We've also got like a glowy element there, which this is the reverse area for where the stone actually is inserted in the back. The arms, mine are still nicely stiff, because to be fair, he's literally just out of the box and I've only just done the unboxing. We don't have any wrist, do we? We don't have wrist articulation per se, but we do have I think, oh, we do. I'm telling you an absolute lie. There's a mushroom peg. I was going to say, I thought I could have sworn when I was doing the unboxing that was not true. It's just really stiff, but yeah, there is. So there's ankle articulation. There is wrist articulation. My anatomy is fine. You shush. My the wrist articulation is good, and it doesn't fold in. It doesn't fold in. And actually, they've done a nice thing here, because even though we've got some sort of waffling kind of gappage in the forearm, not uncommon with this scale of figure, because they've actually got those sort of that sort of waffling effect in there with the plastic that goes through. It kind of is in keeping with the rest of Quintus's body. So yeah, you've got elbow, you've got bicep rotation. So pretty much you've got a pretty basic level of maneuverability. We've got waist articulation. His fingers do not open; they're molded. So it is just a case of sliding his accessory into his weighting grip. We do have these sort of, just got his arms out of the way for a second, these additional mandible type arms, which were in the box, facing forwards like that, which I suppose you could have them as. I've just sort of aesthetically moved them out of the way, but that's me being quintessentially human in my structure. So you could have them pointing forwards and sitting there, or you could have them to the back. Gives him almost a sort of spider-esque look, but they're articulated, so you can position them how you want. So that's all really nice. Then we get down to the leg area, and I've got to be honest, the initial photos I saw of this, I wasn't too sure what I was looking at, or if I even liked what I was seeing. But it's again, I'm just going to move these backwards, these sort of grayer mandibles, because this is immense. So you've got these, it reminds me a little bit of Solus Prime, because you can lift up the panels here. It's a bit of a throwback to the Solus Prime design. But they are sort of a malleable plastic, rubbery plastic, but they're hinged, so you can do that. You can also move them out to the side, and they just feel they're pretty solid. But there's a malleable quality to it. And again, the ones at the reverse can also, they're on a single one, they will move out. But not to sort of do any sort of unpleasantness, but I just wanted to sort of show you what is hidden underneath. And it's these legs. Now these legs look incredible. Look at this. I was worried a bit that some of this might crack, but you know what this gives me? This gives me, and this may mean nothing to some of you, so it might be a bit of homework. This gave me Micronauts vibes. It gave me Micronauts vibes from back in the day. It also gave me bionic parts like Steve Austin or Maskatron and things like sort of that bionic. I mean, it's strictly speaking not like that, but it just gave me vibes. You've got ankle articulation there. You've got hips. You've got some extended sort of double action at the knee there due to the nature of the design. You've got rotation, and as I say, you've got quite a lot of flexibility in the feet there. But I just thought the design of the legs was really incredible. There's just, and actually now he looks like he's spinning around and having a wonderful time at the wedding, and he's having a great time. I'm sorry, I don't know. I've had a very long, long few days with stuff, so I think I might be losing it somewhat if I haven't already. So there's all of that going on to start with, and so this is what Quintus looks like. Let me just zoom out a bit more, just for the sake of getting him all in. I'll get the box out of the way now, because we don't really need to see that, do we? We've seen the box, and it's a lovely box, but no more box time. So there, yeah, so Quintus, fabulous. Really, really loving the look of this figure in ways that I did not expect. From a quick comparison point of view from a couple of his fellow 13, here he is with Quintus Prime in his, well, to be fair, it's Quintus Prime in his armour, in his, I've forgotten the name of the armour. What's it called? Dear oh dear. He's another one with a stone. He's got this Chimera stone. Why am I having a blank about what the armour is called? I keep wanting to call it an exosuit. I know it's not an exosuit, really. I mean, in a way, it is an exosuit. Apex. There you go. It sounds the same. There he is in his Apex armour. And we've also got another relatively recent arrival of the 13. We've also got Alpha Trion. So if I just manoeuvre them a bit like this, it's almost, we can see, a little family of 13 there. So we can see them all stacking up with each other, being all ethereal. But that's, yeah, I think that's, and I think again, another thing with the 13, and I think what I'll probably do is once we've got all of the 13, I might do some sort of extended video on this, is how they have such contrasting looks, but those contrasting looks are also amazingly effective in feeling cohesive. So, you know, we couldn't have 3 more different colour schemes on display here, but the use of the 2 tones within the colour schemes, and within the 2 tones you've got that metallic element to some of the paintwork that we're seeing. That for me does tie the looks together. I know they're different colours. I know they're vastly different styles, because here we've got a squid-like thing. Here we've got a disc essentially that's hiding inside Apex armor, and here we've got Alpha Trion, who's the only one that's actually looking like he is his own robot. But there's just something about that sort of 2-tone nature of the primes so far, or many of the primes so far, that to me really stands out. And I am looking at, I'm really excited actually to do a sort of retrospective 13 primes video once we've got them all, because I think that getting them all together is going to be so impressive. And there's not that many left to get. But anyway, I digress. So apologies, and thank you for indulging my digression. I'm conscious it was a wee bitty naughty of me to do that. But honestly, I just think there's a lot going on here with Quintus Prime. It screams mystery and, well, a little bit of, you know, that. And again, this is entirely due to the aesthetic, but there is for me a little element of, can we trust this? Can we trust this Prime? Can we not? What's their story? What's their intention? I just love all that. I just really love it, and I'm so enamored with the detailing. I mean, just look at that. You can see what I mean there about the 2-tone colour schemes. And yes, there are some other highlights there. You've got that sort of purpley blue in the mix, but you've got that 2-tone green. You've got the earthy green and the metallic green. There's just so much going on. And, you know, I for one, let me just make sure you stand up. Thank you very much. I for one just think Quintus Prime looks incredible, which I appreciate is something that I'm saying about the vast majority of the 13 Prime. So yeah, I'd say apologies, but I don't mean it. Again, with the artifact, with his stone here, you can see Quintus's symbol there on the stone itself. You can attach it, as I said, to this hand. It's quite a hefty stone. I'm not sure what power it wields. Again, I might incorporate a thing about the artifact. I might do the artifact separately. You can also, the instructions point out that he can also hold them in one of these mandibles here. So if you want to free his arms up to, you know, explain the nature of relativity, he can be busy holding holding his stone there. So maybe he's you know, using it to, I don't know what he uses it for, so anything I say now is going to be completely and utterly non-canon and wrong. But maybe he's holding it there so he can look into the depths of the stone and discover stuff. Additionally, I don't know. Or actually, and this is where you find it the first time around. Let me see if I can get this open. Or maybe I can cheat it actually by using the stone itself. Yes, look at that. Inventive. So this opens up, and the stone was situated. Is that a two-way thing? I was going to say I might be able to put it in there. So actually you could hold it in there. This isn't in the instructions, but it could sit in there if you wanted, if there was like your own personal storytelling reason why you wanted to do that. But this is where it's actually hidden. So when you get your Quintus Prime and you're looking in the box, and it tucks away in there, it's really done nicely, and then that fills this bit in here, you see. So it's again beautiful design, very well thought through, very hard to nitpick, to the point where I'm not even inclined to try to nitpick, because I don't know how I'd nitpick, to be honest, because and the blend of translucent and solid plastic and rubber in the sort of skirt area surrounding the legs, it's fantastic. It's a really, Really brilliant design, and I for one think it looks fantastic. So I'm very here for Quintus Prime. So I'm going to now transform Quintus Prime into his Cybertronian mode, which is a kind of squid-like intergalactic subaquatic vehicle. I'm going to go in my head it's an aquatic vehicle, because we don't get a lot of aquatic vehicle modes, as many as I'd like to see in Transformers. So I think I'm gonna mentally make that the state of play for Quintus. I'll do that off camera so that I can feed back any key points or personal learning from doing it. Whilst I'm doing that off camera, again, it's an opportunity for you to like the video and or subscribe if you haven't already. But as I say, don't worry if you haven't. I'm more than happy just for you to be here watching me suffer as I try to transform this guy. So don't touch that dial. And true to form, Quintus Prime in his vehicle mode, or his Cybertronian mode, is absolutely beautiful. Now, it's not going to be to everyone's taste, I imagine, but I am just going to tell you a couple of things about the transformation that I've just experienced, having just done it. First of all, and this might be a bit controversial, first of all, I'll go with a negative thing. The rear transformation feels a bit pointless. There's a bit of leg contraction and compression, and some rotation, and then some tabbing in of this stuff. But I'll be honest with you, to me, it doesn't look that different to how it looks when he's just standing up. It just looks a little bit more compressed and tabbed in. So, and rotated around. So I feel that the fact that we did something with it was almost because the belief was we should do something with it, rather than because it was necessary for the transformation. Don't get me wrong, it was some fun little adjustments and things to do, but I don't really know that it gave us much of a different silhouette or outline. He doesn't look, to me, again, I made this point with Alpha Trion, this is not a robot in disguise, this is a robot in their alt mode, which is presumably to make them more slimline, sleek, to be for propulsion points of view or whatever it might be. Yeah, so for me, don't get me wrong, I love the silhouette, I like what I'm looking at. I just felt if they were going to do it, it would have been nice if something was a bit more evident at the end of it. To me, it just looks like we've compressed the legs a bit, twisted it round and tabbed in all of the skirts so they don't fall out, which they don't. It's a very sturdy figure, but there we are. You can also have these mandible bits in two different positions. This is the first one, which is recommended, I suppose, so it provides a degree of stationary support, but it can also be just sort of, they can be flowing down along there. Otherwise, come back, Quintus just wants to get in the water. Otherwise, everything's pretty straightforward. You've got a cockpit suggestion here. I do wonder, given that they were the 13 primes, the very first primes to exist, why their alt modes have cockpits or areas in which much smaller beings would sit. Or maybe that was just very far forward viewing of Primus. I don't know, I don't know why that would be the case. Anyway, so the Ember Stone is tucked away inside. Again, much easier storage when in this mode. But again, if you just look at the sort of detailing there, and this is all comprised purely out of the reverse side of Quintus and his arms. So his arms just open up, and some very nice transformation elements there. You do need to be really clear in terms of getting this area lined up. I had a bit of a delay in my transformation because it wouldn't quite marry up. You do get visible head syndrome, and you can actually see there through the arms where you just kind of wish the tabs would go in a bit further. They probably will. It might just be because they're stiff, and I'm a bit reluctant to try and force it. But you could, so it might be better than it currently appears to me, with a few repeated transformations. But again, it gives us this really lovely sort of slimline aquatic. Reminds me of the Nautilus a bit, from far too many leagues under the sea. It reminds me a bit of that design when you were looking at it. And again, I can live with this. I just feel like it missed the trick to do something unexpected. But again, it was very neat. It was very straightforward and easy. You know, you almost sort of think, well, should we have it on sideways? Does that make a difference? I mean, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. But it's just again, you could do that if you wanted to. Don't know why you'd want to, but you could do that. So yeah, so that is Quintus Prime in his alt mode. And again, I don't think any of the alt modes in I don't think, well, I'll say many of the 13's alt modes really get me to the point where I think, oh, I might display them in that mode when I get my 13 shelves finalized. But I don't know, there's something about this mode which originally I was thinking, oh, it's a bit sort of not really a thing, but actually having it in hand, there is something slightly oddly effective about it. You know, it reminds me a bit of who was it? Which was it? It was one of the earlier 13 primes that we got. Similar colour scheme, actually. Oh, who was that? It'll come to me in a second. I'll just blurt it out. But that was again another curious looking alt mode, which was a bit like a military truck. Oh my goodness me, what's his name? You'll know it. You're screaming it at me, and unfortunately at the moment I can't hear you. So if I don't hear you, just stick it in the comments. Apologies. It's only a one-way sound system here. But that one was quite a cool vehicle mode, albeit a bit oddly Earth-like. But Alchemist Prime, thank you. I heard you. You there? Yeah. No, not you. The one. The other. Yes. Yeah. You. Thank you. I heard you shouting Alchemist Prime. So those of you just typing, you don't need to type now. Thank you. Much appreciated. But yeah. So I think that's a good look. And I think it's possible that I might consider occasionally having Quintus Prime looking like this. I might ask if Ghost Stands might do a stand for Quintus Prime in this mode, because that would look quite good, wouldn't it? A Ghost Stands. Yeah, that might. Yeah, because that would work quite well. If I remember, I might follow up on that. But yeah, so here we have Quintus Prime, as mentioned, in his. I say his. Maybe I mean it's the referencing is all his. In his alt mode, which is I think it's some sort of aquatic vehicle, but it has so many shades of other things from other media. I mean, I've already mentioned a couple, but it also reminds me of the species that took on the Borg in Voyager. It reminds me of their ships that escaped out of fluidic space. So that's niche if you're a Star Trek Voyager fan. It reminds me of that. Yeah, it's just got so many. It keys into an awful lot, I suppose, of sort of sci-fi genre-esque type stuff. There's just a lot. It has a lot going for it in that respect, I think. And it really works. And again, the color scheme really pops. So yeah, I am a big fan of Quintus Prime, another one. And yeah, and I did whilst I was doing some photos for the outro of this video, I did a little bit of Googling. So yes, it is the Emberstone, and it is used to infuse. It's a bit like the spark of Primus, so a bit of the Matrix, if you like. So it's able to infuse non-sentient things with life, apparently. I know I mentioned earlier on that I might do a full-on 13 retrospective once we've got the full 13 figures. I might incorporate it with a little bit of something I don't normally do. It's not usually my bag, really, but I'm very taken with the mythos of the 13. So I'm debating whether or not to do a bit of a mini bio from my research. each of the 13, so that people can come and have there's a single resource. I'm sure Chris Freely and the like have done basics on the 13, but I might do it like figure by figure rather than just as an overarching thing. I don't know. I'll think about it. If you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments. So yeah, this has been Quintus Prime. I've been the Triple TC, that's the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and you have been a wonderful companion whilst I've been looking at this figure and gushing slightly over it. As I say, I wish I could give you a few more nitpicky things. The only thing I could say is that I say I wish, I don't wish. I'm quite glad when something is really nice. I almost feel that there's a bit of a, a psychological must find something negative to say, can't possibly really enjoy this thing. But I don't have anything overly negative to say. I think, as I say, I think that the skirt area, the propulsion area, I guess, of this is very similar to what it is in robot mode. But then, it's not in disguise. It is just the alternative mode for Quintus Prime. So why wouldn't it look like that? And you can also see how this figure, and indeed the robot mode, would lend itself to Quintus going away and creating the Quintessons, who then maybe ended up destroying him, depending on what version of the histories you believe. But yeah, you can see that sense of, the Quintessons become, are based in the image of their maker, and their maker was Quintus Prime. But yeah, so I like that. And what I might have should have done it, but I need to dig out my my Quintesson Judge, is I've had the Quintesson Judge next to Quintessa. Maybe that's something I'll do when it comes to doing the 13 as a handy comparative. Anyway, thank you again for spending the last 25 minutes or so with me. I do love looking at these figures, and I do love taking my time with them. So again, I don't, as I was explaining recently, a bit in response to some questions, I suppose, this isn't a tutorial channel. There are some fantastic people that do fantastic tutorials. But for me, I use those. They're a resource. They're fantastically empowering. But I'm more here to just appreciate the figure, find out if there's anything that's great about it, particularly if there are anything that are nitpicky, then I won't shy away from those. But I'm also here to go through the transformation experience as a punter, because I am a punter. Nobody sends me stuff. Nobody sends me stuff to review, etc. Probably just as well. But I would, I like to be able to say, I had a problem with this. This was a real nightmare. This was broken. Oh my God, or whatever. As a first-time experience, rather than honing my transformation knowledge of each individual figure, and then presenting it to you like the guru that some of these other people are. But I'm not. I'm you at home, trying to transform things, follow the instructions, and go, I don't want to force it. It's going to break, just so that I can turn around and say, yeah, watch out for this, watch out for that. And hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that's useful. And also I like to have a bit of a chill chat whilst I'm doing it, and sharing my thoughts. So again, thank you. I appreciate you so much for sticking around. I appreciate you watching the video and clicking on. There's a lot out there, so it says a lot to me that you bothered to spend some time with me today. So again, if you could like the video, possibly subscribe, all of these things are fantastic, and I'm very, very grateful for every single one of you just for watching this. So you take care. I very much look forward to seeing you in a future video, or of course a past video if you haven't yet checked out some of the other stuff on the channel. And if you want to see some behind the scenes stuff with Quintus Prime, then as I mentioned, head over to my Patreon. I've got a free tier, and there is a low cost paid tier. Go and check out, see what you think, see what you like. But again, the free tier does have access to an awful lot of stuff. And yeah, I'll see you soon. It just remains for me to say that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.